So I have not made a video where I've been really talking in a long time. I used to make a lot of videos where I would talk about philosophy and I would post them on my story, and I have not done that in a very, very long time. But today is the day. Let me start by saying that this video is made for the love of both the Jewish and the Palestinian people, which is Palestinians in Arabic is Palestini. Palestine is also called Philistine in Arabic. So just a little history lesson. I saw a bunch of people on YouTube not having any clue when they were talking about the Philistines, who the Philistines are and also were. But the Philistines are the Palestinian people. That's how you say it in Arabic. Yeah. I have been very nervous to make this video because of the racism that I've experienced growing up in the United States of America. So let me start from the beginning. Well, not the beginning, but yeah, from what I know. My father was born in Lydda, Palestine in 1946. It's now known as Lod, Israel. The Great Nakhba started in 1948. Before that, my grandma would talk about how the Jews and the Palestinians would live together in peace, and also they were so close to each other, they would live like family. They wouldn't even knock on the door when they'd come over. That's how much they were just like family. And in 1948, sorry, I feel the energy of my ancestors, and so it's very deep and very overwhelming to talk about. In 1948 was the Great Nakhba, and there was lots of really stressful times that the Palestinians were going through before that. But in 1948, my family was forced to leave their home that they had worked for all of their lives. My grandfather lost his business that he worked extremely hard for. He actually was business partners with a Jew, and they took his business. They took our home. Much of the videos that you see with the Palestinians starving, they went through. They took my father out of my grandmother's arms, and they were going to kill him as a 2-year-old baby. And somehow my grandmother pleaded with them, and they decided to give him back to her, thank God. So my family lost everything in 1948. And my grandfather never stopped believing that one day they'd be able to come home and he'd be able to go into that house that he worked really, really hard for, and they would be able to live freely. He actually watched the news every single day, even on the day that he died, hoping to one day come home. That he would hear over the news that it was safe to come home and he could have his house back. And my family could thrive like they were before everything was taken from them. My family immigrated to Jordan in Amman, and they were very poor for a very long time. And my father went to medical school in Cairo and sent a bunch of his money to the family who was poor and suffering, because they are results of the absolute colonialism that Palestine has been through and so many places all around the world. And it's wrong. These are human beings, innocent human beings, throughout history, throughout all different parts of the world, that have suffered so much because of greedy monsters. And it's really easy to see the truth. There's no hiding the truth now. There's no propaganda. There's just the truth. And some people, unfortunately, are still brainwashed. I have a friend who is Jewish, and her family went through a very similar thing. It almost sounds like the same story as my family. And they reside in Israel, and she refuses to feel the same empathy towards my family as I do towards hers, and to see the similarities that are happening, because they are taught in Israel to not see that, and to see the Philistines as being very different from them. But there's a lot of similarities in looks, in language, in food, and that's also why I don't understand why people are calling anyone who's pro-Palestinian anti-Semitic when they're quite the opposite. The Palestinians are native to that territory. My DNA is very much Levantine with Egyptian and a little bit of other things, so that is the Levant. And those people do have roots there, just as much as the Jewish people do. They were always together and very peaceful for a long time. Of course, there's always going to be hateful people, different places, but that was never a huge issue. For the most part, they lived in peace for a very long time, until the British came and shook everything up and somehow incited hate. Yeah, there's a lot of research that can go into it, and a plethora of evidence besides me just sharing my family story with all of you. There is a lot of evidence that they are doing a genocide against innocent, some of the most loving, giving, beautiful people in the whole entire world, just filled with love. Even after my family went through horrible trauma, they chose love. There's a lot of people who have been through atrocious, traumatic events in Palestine, and they are still choosing love. Being pro-Palestinian is not anti-Semitic at all. It's actually pro-Semitic. So just to clarify, the things that I know that the Palestinians are going through is incredibly sick and atrocious. And these journalists that are being killed, you can do all the research in the world. They are some of the most loving people. They're definitely not terrorists. And speaking of terrorism, terrorism is attacking innocent people. Terrorism is not defending yourself. I know it's not popular opinion, but anytime Hamas has hurt innocent people, that was not defending yourself. Israel is not defending themselves. You can win without committing violent acts on innocent people. you can win and thrive together without committing atrocious acts of genocide. And it doesn't make any sense, especially anyone who's ever been through the Holocaust. All these countries that have been through horrible traumatic events, horrible traumatic periods of time, are very supportive of Palestine. And there's a reason for that. And there's also a lot of Jews, beautiful earth angels that they are, that are standing in solidarity with Palestine. And that means so much to us. I just don't understand when it's so easy to be able to thrive together, have a good quality of life by promoting a good quality of life for the people, the masses. Instead, we're living in the United States of America, where big corporations like Kellogg's are telling us to eat cereal for dinner because we can't afford food. And we're shipping trillions of dollars of bombs and horrible explosives to Israel when we need better wages, food, health care. I am so tired of these psychotic, greedy maniacs running the country. It is disgusting. While they're eating their caviar and drinking their champagne on their huge yachts, people are starving. People are going through some really stressful, horrible times. And instead of investing in our education, instead of investing in the education of police officers, they're shipping trillions of bombs to Israel to kill innocent people who have nothing to do with terrorism or anything that they're being accused of. And I've looked at evidence. There are some unspeakable videos, unspeakable things that my family went through themselves. They barely made it out alive. It was called the Death March of Lydda, is what my family went through. And then they had to get out of Palestine when it's all the way on the other side, away from Jordan. I am so grateful that they survived and that they chose love. You know, Macklemore, I'm not really into Macklemore's music, but Heinz Hall, if you know what Heinz Hall is about, Hind was a little kid of many, 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 throughout over 75 years. I mean, these are stories that I grew up with the Israeli government blocking or blowing up ambulances before they could help innocent people. And it's nothing new. But now we have the internet, and the emergency call that she made, listening to her voice as the car was decimated with a explosive force by the Israeli government. She survived, but all her family members died, and she managed to call for emergency for an ambulance, and listening to her voice, how pure and almost angelic it was. She waited for that ambulance, and when they searched, they found the ambulance was on the way to her to save her. Sorry. The IDF blew up the ambulance before they could get to her, and she eventually died in the vehicle as her parents and her family's corpses were rotting beside her. So that's why there's a hall named after Hind on a college campus here. You know, no one wants to pay for this. Like, nobody wants to pay for these trillions of dollars to go towards genocide for these horrible, disgusting, psychotic acts. And we shouldn't have to. We're the people. We are the majority. So when they're saying from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. It's not that there won't be Jews, because Palestine has welcomed Jews, especially before 1948, gave them their homes. Many Palestinians invited them into their homes to live with them, to protect them against the Holocaust. And for this to happen is just so bizarre, and that's really all I have to say. Just do your research. I'm very happy and grateful that I'm here today to share my family's story, because they went through a lot, and I feel that in my veins every day. I will only heal when Palestine heals. And of course, like in my everyday life, okay, yes, I'm fine, but my heart is breaking every single day that those people are being terrorized. And it's been that way since I can remember, but especially now. Why would you want to kill some of the kindest, most loving people in the entire world, a rare breed? None of it makes any sense, but I guess it makes perfect sense in psychotic, maniac monsters' heads that are doing this. What? So they can stay at the beach in the Middle East? There's always cause and effect. That type of attitude cannot be a good quality of life, even if they're not conscious of it on any type of micro level. Their subconscious feels it, and it cannot be good for the spirit. Yeah, so life is crazy. There's this guy, this Jewish guy that I used to know and sometimes hang out with, and he's become this raging Zionist the past few years. It's just really hateful posts that he makes. And I haven't blocked him because I'm curious what the other side has to say. And it's just filled with a bunch of lies and no evidence to support it. So I've noticed my other friend liking all these super crazy Zionist posts. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, you were friends with all the Nazi skinhead kids. Oh, wait. Okay, I get it. So, yeah, that's not even funny. But it's funny because it's just so... Truth is funny, shall I say. And sometimes all you can do is laugh. So yeah, I'm happy to be able to share this with you all, and thank you for listening. Please stand in solidarity with Palestine and with the Jewish people and the people in Syria, the people in the Congo. There's so many places where there's injustice all over the world, and everybody needs to have rights. They are human beings. They deserve human rights and to be able to live like everyone else. Every time I shower, every time I eat food, I'm thinking of how there's so many people in the world without clean water, without food. I feel compassion.